Yes, good afternoon and welcome to this session from Skillathon. Today I'm going to present to you a guide for students how to ace learning from home. Today, because of unprecedented situation, all of us are learning from home. People are working from home. In spite of all this happening, we can't stop learning. We need to continue, right? So some of you have transitioned to learn from home easily. People who already were doing the course from online batch, it was much more easier for you to move. But for those set of students who moved from campus to online, it took a bit of a difficulty in the transition. But the best thing about human beings are we are very adaptable. So today I'm going to give you some pointers, a guide for students how to ace learn from home. In the next 10 to 15 minutes or so, I'm going to share some tips. This is my discussion with some of the students who have been doing it for the last so many weeks at Masai School on online, and my own understanding over the last 6 weeks that we have been doing working from home. I've always been right through my career, I've worked from offices. Very rarely I used to work from home. So when this COVID situation forced us all to work from home, I had my own doubts, but I did few things right, and I'm going to share my own experiences with you, and I'm also sharing experiences what I've had basis from students. So in the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'm going to give you a guide for student how to ace learn from home. Okay, so some of you are already doing it, some of you will learn from this. Okay, so let's start. So the first one that I'm going to give you is 12 practical tips for an effective learn from home kind of a situation. So what's number one? The number one tip, whether you're learning from home or working from home, is this: have a permanent workspace. That means you have a room, you have a corner, you have a desktop, table. Please do not work in a living or a bedroom. I have seen some of the students said that initially I was working from my bedroom. I used to sit on my cot and start coding, and eventually I felt that my body posture is set that I was not able to concentrate for long hours. Never work from living room. I did this mistake when I started work from home. I was operating from living room. Now, what happens in a living room? Your family members are moving around there. Maybe they will be cooperative for the first few minutes or few hours, but they need to get their work happening. My wife needs to switch on the mixer. There would be some washing of the vessels. They would like to get some calls. Kids would like to move around here and there. So it would be highly restrictive for someone not to disturb you if you are occupying their space. So it is better that you have a workspace. So what I did, I exchanged the workspace with my son's bedroom. So I moved in and I set up. Already he had a working space, so I nicely set it up there. So have a permanent workspace. That's the number one. So for those of you who don't have it, try and make the best use of the space that is available at home. And it is very important that you communicate this with the family members. Your family members should understand that why it is important that you have a dedicated workspace. It is almost like going to office. When I come into this room in morning 9 o'clock, I'm formally dressed. You see that I've finished my shower. I have had my breakfast. I'm ready to sit here for the next 8, 10, 12 hours. Of course, I do take breaks. I take break for coffee, bio breaks, lunch break. In between, I stretch. All those are important. But having a permanent workspace, I think, is paramount. That's the first practical tip. What's the second one? Get comfortable. Get comfortable desk, chair, lighting, and ventilation. Now, many of us do concentrate on desk and chair, but they don't really work on lighting and ventilation. The first thing that I did, I realized that I was facing in this direction, and the light was coming from the left. And whenever you have the Zoom classes with the video camera on, it is good that you have the light coming onto you. And I made sure that it is very clearly visible and people can see me behind. I also made sure that I have a clean background behind. Why I'm sharing this with you is many of you would be doing a lot of virtual interviews in the coming weeks. Friends, the COVID situation is going to be there for some time, right? So while we hope and pray things comes to normalcy very quick, but what is it in our hands we need to work around? So what I did, I just got some background behind. Actually, I had a clock here. I said no to clock, and I got one portrait put up there, a very clean background that I'm having. Desk, chair, lighting, and ventilation. I'm a firm believer that light and ventilation is a very important aspect for learning. So what I did was I made sure that the ventilation is very good. So I keep my windows open. I keep my windows open so that the fresh air comes in. And there is no uh, disturbances per se, right? So that's very important that you have uh, ventilation, right? So light, ventilation, desk, and chair. That's the rule number two. What's number three coming up? The third one is invest in quality tech tools. Now, what does it mean? Make sure that you have a good quality internet. I know some of you are in red zone. You can't change your service provider, but make sure you have a quality internet at home. If you can get a Wi-Fi, nothing like it. But some of you, if you cannot have the Wi-Fi facility, you need to depend upon on a dongle or a hotspot. Make sure you have the best service provider in your home or a city wherever you are. You know what I did immediately after 3 days? There was a lot of power fluctuation in my apartment. Though I have a backup generator in our apartment, there is a time lag in which it switches on. So it takes a minute for it to switches on, but by that minute, the internet router gets off, and when it comes back on, the internet is lost. Imagine I'm taking a session like this if the internet goes away. Imagine that you're doing an interview and the internet goes away. And knowing a situation like this, I invested in a small UPS. The UPS is as big the size as this mobile phone. And this UPS is connected to the power source, and the Wi-Fi router cable is connected to this, which is in my house. I have uninterrupted internet supply. Brilliant, isn't it? Brilliant. It costed me money, but it is worth the investment. The second thing is on the laptop, make sure that you have a decent laptop with you. It's worth investing. Camera, make sure your camera is working. If you have a laptop which does not have a good camera, invest in an external webcam. Yes, friends, it is all these costs some money, but the return on investment is very high. Imagine that you are going to invest in this, and you're able to engage in your coaching sessions, in mentor sessions, and also the virtual interview piece of it, and you're able to crack the dream job, right? I'm not saying just because you have a good camera, you have a good internet, the job is guaranteed, but these can be stoppers. These are all enablers, right? Enablers like internet, the laptops, the camera, and of course on the headphone. I see a lot of people use a headphone with keeping the microphone near their mouth. It is a very restrictive to your body movements. So make sure that you have a decent headphone. These good ones with these wires dangling are good enough, or you can get a Bluetooth one. It doesn't require that kind of a high investment that is required. I think nowadays it is available, but don't please bring it like this. Most of the headphones or with the wire ones are easily able to pick up the voice. So number three, invest in quality tech tools. What's the practical tip number four? Develop a morning routine. Now, personally, I feel it's very important. Wake up on time. Your wake up time should be almost fixed time. I typically get up at 6 o'clock. I'm an early morning person. So I have some routine there. Start your day into this session only after your bath and breakfast. Now, people might have a different view. I'm an evening person. I go into very late in the night. That is fine if you have your own day to be planned. But here at Masai School, that you're all following a path. Your session starts at 9 o'clock. The scrum starts, right? So you have 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. a session going on. So why would you have a different path? So even if you are a late night person, but make sure hard stop, you need to get up by 7:45, 8 o'clock, so that you give yourself 1 hour time to have a bath, freshen up, do some prayers, have a good breakfast, spend some time with the family, just check how are things, because the next 12 hours you're going to be super busy. So the family always feels that you are at home, you're not interacting with me. What is this? So it's good that you give them some family time there. Talk to your parents, talk to your siblings. Maybe you can talk to your neighbors if required. If required, of course, make sure that social distancing is there if you're going out. Pretend like you're going to an office. That's very important. People who are interested in reading, please read this book by Benjamin Spall, My Morning Routine. And you go on net and search. Most of the people who are very successful, they have a very strong morning routine. They are early risers. I have nothing against people who are night owls, because it's perfectly fine if that suits your routine. But most important, have a routine. Now there is a strong correlation between routine and rhythm and flow. I'll talk about a little later why this is very important. And point number 5, the practical tip number 5 is do some exercises and stretches at regular intervals. Friends, they say sitting is the new cancer. Just like smoking, how it was causing cancer, they're doing some study. Continuously sitting for long hours, it is a cancerous. It has an impact on your body and mind as well, because you have the round waist getting bulged. Apart from that, you have a challenge with your neck, challenge with your shoulders, with your back pains. Make sure that these 12 stretches are done at a regular interval, at least once in every 90 minutes. Ideally, every hour, if you're able to do some or something like this would be good enough. But if not, at least once in 90 minutes, consciously keep an alarm and say that it is a desk stretches that is important. Friends, physically fit and a sound mind can make wonderful combination for you to learn very well. So these are some of the exercises that I have suggested to you. I will share this 12 exercise tips to you. Probably initially you need to do it consciously, but once you get into this, it hardly takes, when I do this 12 stretch exercises, it takes less than 5 minutes. But 5 minutes every 90 minutes, if you're doing 3-4 times a day, it's brilliant. Okay, so I expect you to do this stretches on a regular basis. Uh, Tip number 6. I learned it the very hard way. At home, you end up eating all kinds of stuff. You keep walking to the kitchen and you open the pantry boxes, start snacking. We Indians love snacking, and we keep eating a lot of traditional stuff, whether you call it as murku in South, or a mixture in North India, or some chana, or some groundnuts, peanuts. You keep eating, isn't it? At home, especially if your parents are around and they see that my son was away for a long period of time, daughter was away for a long period of time, and keep feeding them, please stop it. Make sure that you eat healthy meals and snacks. Initially what happened was, I was eating a lot, and especially lunch. When we go to offices, we have a regular packed meal, right? You have dabbas. You would have, depending upon what you eat, you take dabbas. So it's a limited quantity you eat. But what happens when you are at home? When you are in the dining table, the food is kept. You keep taking till the stomach says and sends the signal to the mind, stop, you're full. Don't do that. Make sure you have a good quantity of food, right quantity of food. In fact, I would say lunch should be less, because what happens is, the moment you have a heavy lunch and then you're going into a class after lunch, you tend to doze off. So it is important that you keep a right amount of food. Make sure that you drink a lot of water. I personally keep this bottle with me. This is a little more than 1 liter. My mother gave it to me saying that the copper is good for you, good for all of us. So I pour, and I have a habit of drinking a little warm water, because I do a lot of session and I need to keep my throat right. Don't drink cold water. Cold water can trigger all kinds of things. Drink room temperature water, or ideally a bit of a warm water is good. That's what Ayurveda says it. I drink a lot of warm water. And then eat some fruits. Eat some bananas, oranges, things that are healthy there. So point number 6, eat healthy meals and snacks. And look at it, friends, whatever that we have done so far, all are doable. All are doable. Somebody, Dhanshekhar, says very nicely. He says that breakfast like a king, lunch like a queen, and a dinner like a beggar. Okay, that's good. In fact, I would say lunch could be a little lesser if possible, because as I told you, you're getting into a class immediately after your lunch. So it's better to take a little lesser working. Normally they call it as a working lunch. You can have 2 fulkas and some sabji, or little rice and dal, something very light that can fill you. If required, you can have a 4 p.m. snack. That is equally good. In fact, they say instead of 3 meal, if you can have a 4 meal is equally good. They are saying probably 4 o'clock you can have a light snack. Obviously, don't end up eating some samosas and kachoris. Eat a light snack. That is also okay. So that's the point number 6. And what's number 7? The practical tip number 7 that I'm going to give you is take regular breaks. As you know, in Masai School already we have a clear break pattern that with you, we are given you a break pattern. So I don't want you to sit here continuously for 6, 7, 8 hours and bring lunch also into the table and don't move. Not good. Take a break. Take a study break. Because I don't know whether you remember, I taught you Pomodoro technique. Pomodoro technique, you know, the Italian Pomodoro means the tomato. He had a tomato shaped alarm which gave him a reminder it's a break time. So depending upon the sessions, I think you have a break. So once the session is over, I think you must leave the desk, take a walk. Take a walk, obviously not during COVID period, just walk around the home, or just if you have a independent house, around the compound wall. Just step out, look through the windows, take some fresh air, take a deep breath, do something that's good. Okay, 5-10 minutes break is good. Body needs break, mind needs break. So you need to come back to the next session with a lot of clarity. We don't want any of those clog in your mind which can impact your learning. Remember, I keep saying this: you lose a session, you lose a day. You lose a day, you lose a week. You lose a week, you lose a month. When 1 month goes away, you lose a cohort. That means you go to the next batch. So we all of us live session by session, right? So I always look at session by session. What are the morning session that I need to do well? What are the preparation that is required? What are the things that I need to take care? The session is over, I take a break. I spend some couple of minutes with my family. My kids have a break. My mom is there. My wife is around. I just go and see things are okay. Then again I come back. There is a session, right? So that's the way I live session by session. Break time is very important. It doesn't mean that learning from home 996 doesn't mean you need not interact with family during the breaks. You just go for a break. I'm sure even in offices, nobody really puts in 12 hours, right? You talk to your colleagues, you go to the coffee vending machine, sip a coffee. If you're in a co-work space, you meet somebody else, you have a quick small conversations around, hey, how are things? Because human beings are social in nature. Maybe in this break time, you can pick up a phone and speak to your classmate who's thousands of kilometers away. Hey, how are you doing? Maybe you can give a call to someone who's still in PG. In fact, one of the students whom I had a in-person discussion day before yesterday, it was looking very dark in his room. I told him, can you please switch on the light? And he said, Yogesh, I can't switch on the light. My roommate is already sleeping. And it was only 7 p.m. Now, I understand the situation he's in, right? 7 p.m. with the lights off to study is very difficult, because human beings by nature, the lights are off and it is dark. It's difficult, right? Lights have a big impact on the way you study. So pick up the phone, talk to him. He'll feel good about it. Ask him for things. Any help is it required? That's the most important, the break time, right? What's number 8? Number 8, an interesting one, a very important one. Stay off the social media notification. My God, the number of apps that we have, and today we keep getting one notification after the other notification, and it is very disturbing. The point is not about attending to one notification. Now, it happened to me this morning. Though I keep my mobile this way around, but still sometimes you tend to see some messages. I saw a message saying that Franklin Templeton closes the debt funds up to 4 billion US dollars. Oh my God, is have I invested in Franklin Templeton? Now I went to my dashboard of investment, then I went through and I checked that, and luckily it was not there. I felt good. Immediately I wrote a message to my investment banker. I said, hey, I hear about it. Are there any other debt funds in a similar track? Now the whole thing takes away 20, 30 minutes of time. You go to Bombay Stock Exchange Sensex and check how the Sensex is doing today. All those are unnecessarily unwanted stuff that we are looking at it. So make sure stay off social media during the notification. In fact, Nupul has a brilliant idea. He has a phone with the flap. He says that the flaps says that even if you have kept it this way, I don't see any notification coming. He whenever he takes a session, he turns off all Slack notification also. That's even brilliant, but I don't do that. See that what are all that is distractions, stay away. You get a pattern to answer all your social messages during lunch. And the receiver also understands that, hey, here is Dhanashekhar attending the class. If I send a message for him in the morning, I see a pattern. He responds only between 1 and 2. So they respect that. Unless otherwise, any emergency, people can always call. You are at home. They would reach one of the family members and they would respond, reach out to you. That's the practical tip number 8. Stay off the social media, turn off the notification. What's next? Number 9, listen to music. Now, I think music is very healing. Music is a good companion. Music can be invigorating. Music can bring in some amount of external stimulus that is required. Depending upon your liking to music, you can listen to certain variety of music. Now, for me, morning music is very important. I listen to some devotional songs in the morning, especially when I start the day. And as I'm offering the prayers for the 10-15 minutes, I switch on that devotional music. I also play a bit of a devotional music at the end of the day. At around 7 p.m., when I normally take a short break, I go and listen to that music for 10-15 minutes, light a lamp and light an agarbatti, and just tell God that one more day is gone. It's been good. We have been staying safe. It gives me a lot of positive vibes to me. And of course, during the day, when I'm doing some design, let's say I'm preparing this design, while my thinking is going, I have a set of music that will help me. I have a music instrumental, a lot of instrumentals I have because I listen to soft music when I'm creating these designs. So I leave it with you. You create your own library. But I have seen that for different work, you need different kinds of music, right? So make sure that when you're coding, what kind of music that you listen to. Obviously, don't listen to music when a live session is happening. Don't do that. And make sure that music is a good companion to you. Build your own library. What's number 10? I think that was very important and it was a little difficult. And people thought I'm being rude at home. My own personal example. My son used to come and tell me, Dad, my elder brother is troubling me. And after some time, the elder brother comes and says, it is my screen time. My Rishabh is not giving my phone to me. Then I called them and I told them, look, guys, I am in a serious 996 philosophy here. When I come out of the break, we will have a discussion. Unless there is an emergency, please don't come and disturb because I keep taking classes. I attend classes. We have a lot of meetings happening and I don't want disturbances. So avoid family pets during the sessions. Focus is the key. You know that it is so easy to lose focus. One is the quantity of work. The second aspect is the quality of work. How much quality of work that you're putting in is extremely important. So share schedule with them. Tell them this is what my schedule is. They will know the pattern. 9 o'clock scrum. After that, some sessions are happening. 12 to 1 is soft skill. 1 to 2 is break. 2 to 4 something is happening. They don't know the schedule. You do this regularly, they know the schedule. Okay. In fact, you on one day you don't have that schedule. You come out, they will ask you, hey, today you don't have classes. In fact, they know the schedule very well. Practical tip number 11, one last but not one to come over there, connect with co-learners. I told you some time back, develop a practice buddy concept. because if you are far away and if you're not connecting with people, it is extremely difficult. So connect with co-learners. So either it in your own teams or regularly have a touch with them, at least connect with them once a day. Just wrap it up. Man is a social animal. You can do a lot of cross learning, but whenever you're discussing, discuss positive things. But if you're going to look at negative things, discuss negative. Oh, I heard that a lot of people are laid off. Hiring is got frozen. I heard that this is what is happening in the previous batch. All this unnecessary stuff. Focus on those things which are in your control, not to focus on things which is beyond your control. That's connect with co-learners, extremely important. Okay. Last, number 12, practical guide. Let's see what it is. Create a reward system for yourself, and you must enjoy this journey. And I firmly believe this, and I have been doing this unconsciously or consciously for years together. Always I reward myself, but reward need not be something very big. It could be a simple reward. Sometimes I reward myself with having a chocolate, right? I reward myself with watching a TED talk. I reward myself with talking to my friend. I reward myself with maybe making a nice dessert for myself, right? Nothing wrong in that. You must enjoy this journey. You reward yourself saying that, look, I'm going to finish this project in the next 12 hours and work towards it. Reward yourself, whatever it is, simple reward, right? If you want to do some shopping, I don't know, many of the online portals are not open. Sometimes I shop, reward myself, right? All this will help you. So these are the 12 things that we have covered up. Just let us summarize. Before we summarize, the focus is on routine, friends. Because when you have a routine, why I'm emphasizing on routine is there will be a rhythm. A rhythm is very soothing. When you have a rhythm, obviously there will be a flow, a strong linkage. Routine leads to rhythm, rhythm leads to a flow. And when there is a flow, there will be high focus. And you know, to be a good developer and to learn the stuff what you're doing is focus is important. Friends, you are in the 14th, 15th week of the program. It's going to get more and more intensive, right? At this junction, already the body is wearing out, right? So you need to have more focus. Routine helps you to have better focus because routine leads to rhythm, rhythm leads to flow, flow leads to focus, and that is where all these will only happen if you have the foundation of self-discipline. Whatever I have showed you, those 12 pointers all require self-discipline. Uh, Nupul can't do it from Masai for you. Yogesh can't do it from Masai from you. Pratik can't push you from Masai from you, or Aman, or Albert, or for that matter, Shanti, Vetri, any of our team members. That is why I say self-discipline. There are two kinds of discipline. One is self-discipline, other one is external discipline. Masai code of conduct is an external discipline, wherein which we tell if you don't log in, we ask questions. If you don't push projects, we ask questions. That is external discipline. Actually, in the long run, self-discipline is very important to make things happen. So 12 things I've shared with you, those practical tips for you. The goal is to build your focus. It is extremely important to this. So these are the guides for students how to is the learning from home. These are the practical tips that I have shared with you. What I'm going to do is I will send these tips to you for your own reading again, absorbing, very important. And I consciously put these 12 tips basis my experience and interaction with some of the students. I have seen some students being very regular for Scrum, very regular in answering, and they've already been there, done that. 12 weeks, 14 weeks, they've already been in online from day one of the Ninjas batch. I spoke to a couple of them, picked up some tips from them, and I have created this 12 practical tips. Why 12? It can be 15, it can be 10. 12, a dozen, easy to remember, right? Dozen things that you need to remember, practical tips that you can do. So what I request is, I want you to go through this list. Uh, I want you to reflect upon it, saying a tick, saying that yes, I'm doing this. Then no, for whatever reason. Either it could have an infrastructure issue, or it could be a self discipline issue. And then you also put an exclamatory mark. That means I'm doing it in partial. Sometime I'm in the workspace, sometime I'm in the bed, sometime I'm in the living room, sometime here. Put a question mark, right? So do this exercise. I'm going to send this list to you immediately after this session. I want you to reflect upon it, and then try to work towards it. As I told you, the COVID situation is there to stay. Unlikely the schools and colleges and coaching institutes be allowed to open before end of May. And if you can pick up this one incredible skill of learning from home, I will tell you, the world is open to you. I don't know how many of you have seen today Harvard has opened up its edX to the public, and these are the courses which run for 4 to 6 weeks, and you have the best of the professors in Harvard and the Stanfords of the world. If you can learn on your own, I think that's the biggest gift that COVID has given to you. Well, many troubles COVID has given, but COVID has made you adapt to learning from home. I think if you can pick up that, then see the kind of magic that you can create. And especially for all of you, the software developers, I told you, it is not just the IQ, which is intelligent quotient, not the EQ, which is the emotional quotient. It is the learning quotient, LQ, which is very paramount if you want to have a long, successful career in software development. Because the change is so constant in software development field. The languages, the tech stack, which was very strong a few years back, are not so strong or irrelevant today. Similarly, what is very much in vogue, very much in demand, 5 years down the line, we don't know what's going to happen. And you can't afford to take every 4 or 5 years a 6 month sabbatical break and redo the entire course, right? But imagine that if you have an ability to pick up, learn from home. And all of us have a great advantage of time zone. Many of these classes which are being offered free are beamed from United States of America. We have the advantage of the time zone, and most of these classes typically start around 10 p.m., 9 p.m. in the evening. And imagine for a couple of hours, you can glue to the desk and start learning on your own. I'm not asking you to do it now because the plates are full with 30 weeks of full stack web development course at Masai School. But I'm talking about how this particular skill, if you can build up, how you can have a future wherein which learning becomes part of your life, and you keep building your skill set, tool set, and mindset to not only ace your current job, but also move up in your career, right? So why I showed this number was 30 weeks is all about 180 days, and 1960 hours is what you have if you want to do this entire course online. Obviously, many of you are in the midway around, but still there's a lot of numbers to go. Make sure that you do that. Okay, so thank you all for this session. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send that list to you. I want you to reflect upon these 12 practical tips, and ask yourself these questions. I would leave you with these thoughts with you. Thank you so much.